Hi, everyone. This is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman. And today I am so excited to talk to you about clairvoyant. Um, I think clairvoyant is one of the gifts that I think really are kind of interesting. It's one of the basic gifts that a lot of people have. And I think one of the cool things about being clairvoyant is everything you get to see. So we're going to talk about that tonight, especially talking about seeing ghosts, because that's just part of being clairvoyant. So that's kind of the fun part of it. You get to see ghosts, and you kind of get to connect with their energy in a different way. So that's kind of one of those fun things. You get to connect with ghosts. But part of that can also be kind of seeing other things. So as people start clicking in, we're going to be talking about if you have questions about being clairvoyant or seeing ghosts. Post your question. I will do my best to answer it. Hello, Miss Gracetta. Do you have any ghosts out there, Miss Gracetta? It's one of those. I think to me, I love that part of my gift more than anything else. The best thing about being clairvoyant is to see the ghosts, because it's kind of gives you an insight into like their past or the past of like whatever country they came from. So that's kind of one of the fun parts I love about ghosts. I kind of really love that part. Um, always. Yes, out in Arizona, there are a lot of ghosts. And I think that's kind of one of the kind of interesting parts, especially parts of, especially the United States, just because a lot of places have a lot of history. And because of that, you also have a lot of ghosts in that area. And kind of where Gracetta is, because it's kind of close to the mountains, kind of close to where Phoenix is. There's been a lot of people over, hundreds of years in that area. But I will tell you, one of the funniest ghosts that I ever met out in Arizona was a couple of Indians. And when I was out there doing meditation with a client, I could feel their energy kind of coming in. And so that was kind of the fun part about it, is like to enjoy that part of kind of connecting with ghosts from a different area of the country that I'm normally not necessarily connected into all the time. And so that was kind of like the really fun part. But if you are checking in with us, ask me any questions you have about ghosts, how to see them, how not to see them, anything else. I think ghosts are my number one favorite thing about being clairvoyant. But there are a couple of signs of kind of like to kind of know that you're really clairvoyant. And I think that's the fun part as well, because it's not just seeing ghosts. There's a lot of other things that come in with seeing, being able to see or having the gift of seeing, because that's kind of really what clairvoyant is about, is clairvoyant, clair meaning clear and voyant meaning visually or seen. So you clear see things. And a lot of times it's things that other people don't see or kind of don't avoid. And so I think that's the funny part. Hello, Miss Gigi. Ghosts are kind of the fun part of it, but the other kind of quirky one that I have, and I was kind of writing down some of the gifts that you could have, kind of like, what are they? And so one of the things is being able to see the past or the future events in your current life. And so when I talk to a client about something that's going on, almost like I can see like the threads of it where it connects them to their past life, and kind of being able to see that past life, which is kind of one of those when I was learning and kind of this ability was coming up really strong for me, I was like, no one else was seeing it. So I kind of realized that that's not a very common part of it. I would say kind of the more common part of clairvoyant is seeing ghosts. But this was something that I was always able to do or see or connect to in some way. I just never understood it as a child. I never kind of understood, like, why am I seeing this? What is coming up with this? So that was one of those like, interesting. Because being able to see the past like it's current day, or things that are coming up in the future as if they're happening right now, can make you a little wonky, because when you're connecting with that energy, it's like, oh, is this, we've all flipped, kind of like the scene has changed and now we've changed into this. or is it something that I'm seeing that's not everybody else is connecting into? So I think that's one of the interesting parts about being clairvoyant, because you can see them so clearly, as if you were there, as if you were with whatever they're saying. Sometimes I have a lot of ghosts that come in and try to talk to me, and they will tell me about, like, when they were a child or when this happened or something like that. And I'm able to see it as they tell it to me. I'm able to see it. And so that's kind of the interesting part. So I know I'm seeing the past, but I'm seeing the past through them, of their story. That's kind of one of those kind of quirky things. I will tell you, one of the things that I always get with like clairvoyance is that they are very easily able to naturally visualize something. So if you were to say, I'm going to move this picture from this wall to this wall, people may be able to see it and go, oh, I don't think it'll look good there, or you should move it higher or lower, or something like that. And you're kind of like, well, how'd they be able to see that? Clairvoyant is that gift. Kind of that clairvoyant gift is kind of one of those interesting ones. I don't have it nearly as strong as my grandmother. My mom's mom had clairvoyant gift. I don't think she understood it, but she could look at a blueprint plans of something, and she could tell you, like, okay, this isn't going to work because this door frame and that door frame is going to hit, or this isn't going to flow very well, or this door isn't wide enough, that sort of thing. So she would be able to kind of like visually, just looking at the plans, walk through the house to kind of see, okay, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, this looks good, but this doesn't look good, or all you're going to be looking at out this window is like the neighbor's garage. So she could visualize seeing a set of plans in like 4D. So she could like literally walk through it and tell you, oh, this is a great plan, this is not a great plan, this is what you need to change or modify. And my grandfather always kind of listened to it and was kind of like, okay, this is what she said to do. And so that was kind of the quirky part about it, but she never understood it as a gift. And that's the fun part of it. It's kind of like she could have been able to visualize so much more, but that was kind of one of those, interesting. One of the other ones I found that is kind of really common to a lot of clairvoyants is they are very much a visual learner. So many times, like, people will be like, well, let me write down the instructions. And I was like, no. Show me it. I got it. Like, that's all I need to see, is I need to see what this is. I need to see you do it, or whatever else, or tie the knot, or put this in order, or whatever it is. And like, once I see it, it's like, okay, I've got this. That's the easy part. So once I see it, I'm able to kind of put it in order. But a lot of people are the same way. Like, once they have seen it put together, or how to do this, or how to take care of this, that makes that gift so much easier, realizing that you're a visual learner. And visual learners usually have a lot of clairvoyant, because they require seeing it and then being able to reproduce it over and over again. So it just kind of one of those interesting ones that's fun, of like being able to connect to that energy, being able to see it, kind of taking that information, and then kind of reproduce it over and over again. One of the interesting ones, it's kind of like a side note of what we were talking about earlier, is being able to like naturally visualize things. And sometimes this gift of clairvoyant like starts kind of slow, or kind of like not as strong for a while. And then all of a sudden it just starts, every time someone tells you something, like if someone told you, hey, I bought a new car and it's blue on the interior and it's pink on the outside and all that kind of stuff, like you can visualize it as they're telling you about the item. Sometimes when people will like tell me about their house, like, oh, if I walked into my house and on the left this is there, I could be like, yeah, but whatever you're missing is on the right, or whatever. I can like see where it is, and kind of it calls my name kind of in a weird way. That's kind of fun. So a lot of times, like, people will text me like, I can't find this, or I can't find that, where is it? So I get kind of some of those like interesting questions. And that kind of flows into kind of like being able to dream interpretations, because one of the interesting parts about being able to visualize someone's dream is, as they're telling me the information, anything that they don't tell me or they don't fill in that blank, the dream will stop. So then I'll be like, okay, wait, how did you feel about this? Or what were you doing at this time frame? Or what changed or was different? And they'll be like, how'd you know? And I said, because for me, it just stopped. What you're saying just stopped. The story didn't go on. It just stopped. So there's something missing, so I can keep going in that. And dream interpretation, or being able to visualize someone else communicating with you, either through about their dreams, about visualizing their home or their car or whatever else. That's kind of the fun, quirky part of being able to visualize. I think, to me, one of the best part is, like, when I do a meditation, I am seeing everything. I can also, like, from that vision, I can also pick up the feeling of things. So as I visualize something, I can pick up my other senses come in, like clairsensitive, of kind of, this car has been beaten this way, or this person has been beaten this way, or have this injury inside. And so I always see it. I don't always call attention to it, but that's kind of one of those interesting parts of being able to understand, like, oh, this is that information. This is where it comes from, is that clairvoyant gift. Let's see. When people, like I said, when people are telling you about their dreams and the energy stops, I know that they're missing something. And once that blank is filled in, and then it just kind of, the pictures, almost like a cartoon, like picture after picture after picture after picture, keep showing up to explain what information is there. And so as I visualize it, I'll get the message of, this is what they require knowing. This is a picture of their sister, or this is a picture of a past life, or this is that information. So I think that's kind of the interesting part about dream interpretation. And if you are really highly clairsensitive, that is a gift that will continue to grow and modify, and it could end up covering one of the things that we're talking about today, is kind of like that information, that kind of like really deep down information of what do you see, how do you see it, where'd you pick it up from, that sort of thing. One of kind of the next one that's kind of like one of those, like, interesting, is people who have clairvoyant gift, they see non-physical energy. So it's not necessarily a physical thing that you're looking at, like ghost. I can also see anger. I can see chaos. Hello, Miss Jade. Miss Jade is also clairvoyant. I know that. So it's kind of like that clairvoyant gift, really that non-physical energy that most people don't see, the ghost, the energy, like I said, anger, all of those come out visually. And so I can see where they are. And that's one of those, oh, that's where the energy is. And a lot of times, like, if I'm walking with someone else, I'll like move around something and they're like, there's nothing on the floor. And I'm like, I know you didn't see anything on the floor. I saw something on the floor. I don't want to walk through someone else's anger, upset, problems, issues, argument, whatever it is. That energy just stays in that area until you psychically clean it out. So even if you've moved into a new space, if an old owner had a lot of arguments in that area, that has to be like physically cleaned out so that it's completely gone. So that's one of those, interesting. But if any of y'all have any questions about clairvoyant, this is one of my favorite gifts to talk about. And I think it's, like I said, it's one of those, once you get a hold of it, it makes it easier, but that's the fun part, is kind of like, as it grows and changes and modifies, that's the fun part about it, is kind of like, yes, I can do this. Any questions y'all have? One of the kind of the quirky ones is people that have clairvoyant gifts usually have very vivid dreams. One of the things that's really interesting that I've noticed as I've talked to other people is that my dreams are very vivid, and they almost have like an electric quality to them. So as I picture something, I can see the energy that's created that vision for me. So that's kind of one of those, interesting. Vivid dreams. A lot of like I said, and I can visualize things as people are telling me. So that's part of that, like vivid dreams. I have like, everybody tells me like, Ruth, you have some strange dreams. And I'm like, I know. That's part of being that clairvoyant. So Jade is asking, how can we increase our clairvoyance? I've seen spirits when she was young, but as I've gotten older, I don't see them as often. But she does. So what you're saying, Jade, is because you still have lots of vivid psychic dreams at night, the gift, the ability hasn't been turned off. The ability is still there. It's one of those, a lot of times what happens is people will ask for this gift to be modified in some way. And a lot of times it could be when you see a ghost or you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm afraid. And you'll be like, I never want to see that again. And because you've asked for it, they won't show themselves to you. So I would say start slowly and asking like a ghost, preferably someone in your family that has some really good energy and comes through. So I would say have them come in and visualize and show themselves to you, so you can see that, you can connect with that energy. That is kind of the best part, but have them stand at a distance. It's a little bit easier if they're not like really close up to you. So if you have them stand at a distance, that's a little bit better as well. And then also a lot of times people, when they're trying to see a ghost, they kind of like have their eyes like wide open. Soften your eyes. You want to like not necessarily close your eyes, but you want to soften your eyes, kind of looking through your eyelashes, or not having them wide open can be an easy way to do that. But then asking them slowly to kind of show you a little bit at a time themselves, how they're doing things. That's kind of the fun part. Hello, Miss Tony. You're welcome, Miss Jade. Let's see. Tamika saying, I don't see things, but things are shown to me or will pop up and leads me to what they were trying to tell me. So kind of the visualize, like not being able to see things, or things are all of a sudden they're like right in your area. A lot of times you've closed off this clairvoyant gift. And so that's kind of one of those like interesting. So once you start opening it up, and I talked to Jade about that, it's kind of like doing it slowly. You don't want to just all of a sudden like pop this open and let's get into all of it. But that can be something that can be really fun, and kind of do it slowly, because it was there. If it didn't just pop into your field of vision, it was there. You were just like, you didn't see it until you were to that point or that area. So your ghost and guides are actually guiding you to see things, to kind of open up to the energy of being able to see things, being able to open up to energy. And a lot of times clairvoyant gifts can really keep you, I want to say safe, because that's not necessarily, it's kind of more protected. Like I said, when I'm walking, I can see, it almost looks like an energetic dust bunny is the best way to put it. And I will see that on the ground. And if I were to walk through it, I could walk through someone else's negative energy. They must have had an argument over something, even if it was something silly. That argument stays in that area. So once I go in and clear it out, it's gone. But if I walk through it, I would contaminate myself with that energy. So getting messages from your angels and guides can be almost like those breadcrumbs. And sometimes those breadcrumbs can show us what we need to know next, or where do we, like they're showing you like, come this direction. Here's like one breadcrumb is this, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And they're showing you which way to go or how to get there, so you can see the information that they're asking you to see. Because that's the interesting part, is our angels and guides always want to communicate with us. I mean, not 100% of the time, but they want to communicate with us. They want us to kind of see the energy. They want you to kind of come in with that that information over and over again. So as they kind of show you those breadcrumbs, kind of keep following it. Yes, Tamika, it's like follow those breadcrumbs down the path. And it can also come in as a feeling. And sometimes like our gifts and abilities, it's kind of like hard to figure out like which gift is really showing us the information or giving us the information, because we'll see something and then we'll feel something right afterwards. So it's kind of like, did I see it first or did I feel it first? That sort of thing. So they kind of work in unison to kind of bring us that information of, this is what you need to know at this time. And a lot of times, asking your angels and guides to show you information or lead you to the next thing that you have to see, they will literally show you the next item, or kind of like, tell me where I'm going. Sometimes I will ask like, what do I require knowing for the second half of October? What do I require knowing about this part? What is it that I really require knowing? That's one of those fun things of like having them show you something. And so instead of being blindsided like everybody else, you're kind of like, I knew this was coming. I may not have figured out it was today, but I knew it was coming. I knew this information was out there. Sometimes people that have kind of like the last one I want to talk about is kind of one of the interesting one is sometimes people have a very active third eye. And that means like you visualize things. Things that don't make sense will have like an electric hue to it, or it kind of like has a different energy around it. Sometimes when I will see this when someone is lying to me, if someone were to lie to me, and it doesn't have to be like a big lie, it could just be, like, yes, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Their energy will have an electric quality for a blink of an eye. So I'll know whatever they just told me is a lie. And that's kind of one of those things. But a lot of times we're kind of taught to kind of leave that alone and not like talk about it, especially when you're a kid. It's like people be like, I would tell my mom's friends like, well, you're lying about that. And I would get in trouble for doing that. And it's one of those, I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth. They were the one who were lying. They were the one who wasn't really accurate in the information that they were telling you. So that's kind of one of those interesting kind of things. That's one of my favorite things to understand is when your third eye is really active, you're going to see lots of information. Kind of the downside of that is sometimes it can overwhelm you and sometimes it can give you headaches. It just depends on like what gift you're trying to connect to and how is it coming through. Any other questions about clairvoyant? I will answer your questions. And then I've got some angel cards, which can be kind of an interesting phenomena of clairvoyant is when I look at the cards, when I'm doing this, the card will show me which direction I need to go. And it will, like the right card will literally pop out for me and have a different color or a different hue. So, this is the card that came out, and this is the 6th house, and this is all about sustainability. Once you kind of get your clairvoyant going in the right direction, opening up to bigger and bigger gifts, is really kind of the fun part about it. So the more you do meditations that have a visualization with it, and kind of like, let's go to the beach and that sort of thing. Every time you do those, it's activating that clairvoyant gift. And so more and more and more, that clairvoyant gift will keep activating more and more. And as it keeps growing, you keep getting more and more information. So it's kind of like the more you use it, the better it gets. The better it gets, the more you use it. So it's kind of like you're using it all the time of, I want to make sure I'm on the right path. I want to make sure I'm getting the right information. And, even seeing like someone's past life. I think past lives are one of those quite interesting phenomena, because to me, I can see where people are stuck in their life, kind of stuck in, like I said, if something's coming up in your current life, it has like a little bitty thread and we'll take it to the past life where you're like it came from. Like if you have a fear of something, or maybe your fear could be someone's going to cheat on you. And I will see that thin line from the current life now to the past life where someone did cheat on you. Or if you're afraid someone's going to leave you or something like that, that will have like a little bitty thin line from your current life all the way back to that past life where you learn that information. So that's kind of one of those interesting energies. This card is Aries, and this is all about acting. And one of the things I think Aries energy really comes through with is kind of an interesting part. When we are on board with our gifts and abilities, we learn how to act or react to our world in amazing ways, differently than most people, because we're not just relying on like our human senses. We've got all of these psychic gifts to also kind of like weed our energy through. So that's kind of one of those kind of one of those great gifts parts of it. Okay, let's see. Brittany's on, and Brittany says, can anyone have or develop this gift, or is it something that you're born with? Now, Brittany, you can activate this gift. Now, it's one of those, everybody has access to this gift, but if it's not your main gift or you don't use it very often, it does get a little kind of like, because you haven't used it. So it's kind of like, I don't know how to do this. So the more you visualize anything, and so kind of one of the best ways to do it is to do some meditations that have that visualization kicked into it. Now, on my website and on my YouTube channel, I have a lot of videos that you can see, meditations that you can go through, and I'm always using that because that's one of my strong gifts is visualize this, see this coming in at you. And that's one of those great, amazing things, is to have that gift on board and to keep using it over and over again. And the more you trust it, the more information comes through. So you can, it's a lot of things people are born with, and you can also develop it as well. The next card that I'm coming in with is Mercury, and this is messages. And Mercury comes in usually with a very communication energy of kind of like talking things out. But I will say kind of one of the interesting parts is Mercury comes in with messages, and sometimes those messages can be pictures or images or information. That's kind of one of those great things of having that visualization of being able to see what's coming up next, or how are things going to kind of come out and play. You may see parts of it. You may not see the whole path, but you may see parts of it. So you're kind of like, okay, I know in the end this is going to be okay because I've seen the end and it's all right. And that's one of those interesting ones that that is kind of really an interesting gift to have, is being able to kind of like show me it's going to be okay at the end. And that's the fun part, like, because you already know the end, or at least you know it's going to be okay. So then you kind of like, okay, we can go through all these crazy things. My next one is Scorpio, and this is all about investigation. And I think that's one of those things that we do with our clairvoyant gift. We are investigating our world to look for that information, or look for that energy to kind of pick up on. And that can be really fun, investigating things. And like, once you see one, be ready for the next thing to visualize, and the next thing to visualize, and the next thing to visualize. And that can bring this gift up really intently for a lot of people, and kind of really in a great way of like bringing this gift along, which brings us kind of to our next card. And this is Ceres, and which is an asteroid. And this is all about nurturing. What you nurture is going to grow, just like your garden at your house. It's like, if you're nurturing this clairvoyant gift, it's going to continually grow. It's not going to grow like exponentially, but it will continually grow. And the more you trust it, it will continue to grow. So that's the fun part, is trust your gift, trust that you're getting this information for an amazing reason, and allow that to kind of keep moving forward. My next card is the 5th house, and this is all about passion. If you are passionate about learning how to take control of your abilities, do it. It is so much fun to have this gift, to have other gifts: clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsensitive, claircognizant. All of those are amazing gifts, but you got to learn about them. You got to be passionate enough to kind of study it and learn this gift. That's the important part for most people. That part is the interesting part. The more you nurture it, the more you visualize things, the more you put that passion into something, the more it's going to grow, the more it's going to keep developing and growing. which brings us to this card. This is Uranus, and this is all about the change. The more you put your energy into something, the more it's going to change and modify. The more you put energy into it, it's going to continually, like I said, grow slowly. And that's really what you want to do. You don't want it to just put a whole bunch of Miracle Grow on it and it zaps up what is it, Jack and the Beanstalk or something like that. You want it to grow slowly so that you learn your gifts and abilities. And one of the major ways to get control of this gift and ability is to meditate. That is the number one thing I can teach anybody. If you've taken my class, you know this is something that I focus on a lot in my class because it's the important part. Once you're meditating, all of your gifts and abilities grow at a steady rate. All your gifts and abilities really push this energy forward. And that's the fun part. Like as you learn, you kind of learn more about it and it keeps growing. And the more you do meditations, the more it keeps growing in a steady, great way of allowing this energy to come in and amplify this. Just by the way, if you haven't taken any of my classes, I have a Psychic 101. We are going to be doing a kickoff class on October 18th, which I think is next Tuesday, a kickoff class. If you're interested in it, you can email me and I will send you some information, or you can go to my website and get the information. We do the kickoff class just so you can get everybody on the same page and kind of understand what's coming through, or kind of the abilities that I talk about and kind of teach in the class, so you can learn how to control some of these. So you're not being controlled by them, you're controlling them and really pushing the right energy in this right area. So that is really great way to do that. Okay. Brava is asking, how do you tell the difference between a regular dream and astral travel? Sometimes when I dream, I wake and I feel like I've had a conversation with people, but they don't feel familiar. Kind of astral travel is something a lot of people do. It's not necessarily a clairvoyant gift. It's kind of a different one, but you can visualize things. Astral travel is different because in a regular dream, it's just going to be working through your psyche. I'm working through, my boss yelled at me and now I need to work through this, or I'm having a disagreement with someone. It's kind of giving you a different insight into it. Astral travel, you will feel like you've traveled somewhere, and you can learn how to pick up clues and information around what they're showing you or what's there. So you can find out, are you astral traveling in current day? Are you astral traveling into the past or into the future? That's really an interesting one of kind of taking all of that information in. What's coming up? How do you know you can use it? Where do you need to go? And that's the fun part of it, because astral travel is really fun, and you can learn how to control your astral travel and where you go, and who you communicate with. That's kind of one of those fun parts. Okay, guys, I thank y'all so much for joining me tonight, and I know that we'll be talking again soon. Y'all have a nice evening.